Topping today's news, 3 people shot overnight in separate incidents on New Providence and Grand Bahama. The Prime Minister announces plans to amend the Bail Act. We look at the strain violent crime is placing on the healthcare system, and 2 nights of high-level boxing coming to Freeport, Grand Bahama. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News, and it is a pleasure to have you join us. Police are investigating 3 shooting incidents that took place on Tuesday night. The first incident took place here in the capital at a gas station on East Street South and involved a 17-year-old male victim. Police say shortly before 8 p.m., the victim, an employee of the establishment, while working outside on the gas pump, was approached from behind and shot by a lone gunman who was dressed in dark clothing. Following the shooting, the culprit then ran to a white Japanese motor vehicle that was awaiting nearby and made good his escape. The victim suffered a gunshot wound to the face and was transported to the hospital by emergency medical services, where at last report he remained in stable condition. Surveillance video of that shooting has been shared widely on social media. If you have any information that can assist the police in their investigations into this matter, you can contact them anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. That's 328-8477, or you can call CID 911 or 919. The second shooting incident occurred off Fire Trail Road East and involved an 18-year-old male victim. Police reports indicate that around 11:30 p.m., the victim and another individual were on a track road on a scooter when they heard gunshots. Moments later, the victim realized that he had been shot to the right hand. He was transported to the hospital by emergency medical services, where he was treated and subsequently discharged from the hospital. Meanwhile, in the second city, Freeport, Grand Bahama, police are also investigating a shooting incident that left an adult male suffering from serious injuries or suffering with serious injuries. Police say sometime around 7 p.m. Tuesday, a 64-year-old man was at a residence on Oleander Street when he was approached by a man he knew who physically attacked him. The attacker produced and discharged a firearm, shooting the 64-year-old male in the left shoulder. The victim is currently listed in serious but stable condition in hospital. 2 men were taken into police custody, and they are assisting police with their investigations into that matter. On the political front, despite some members of his cabinet downplaying the suggestion that bail legislation should be amended, Prime Minister Philip Davis revealing during his communication in the House of Assembly today that his administration is indeed working towards amending the Bail Act. He explains the amendments would support his government's commitment to strengthening the rule of law and ensuring justice.
I'm also announcing a significant amendment to the Bail Act. The bail is a constitutional right, but not a right to be abused. There is a fundamental right to be presumed innocent. But the liberty that accompanies that presumption is not absolute, especially when someone poses a danger to society, a danger to themselves. Our amendment will ensure that bail is automatically revoked for those accused persons who commit offenses while on bail. This includes those found to be in violation of the terms of their bail, an offense under the amendment. This measure sends a clear message. Our legal system will no longer tolerate those who flout its rules and endanger our communities.
As it relates to bail, earlier this month, Attorney General Senator Ryan Pinder told reporters that the Bail Act does not need to be amended, adding that there is adequate protection and ability for the judiciary to deny bail in certain circumstances under the current legislation. Free National Movement Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands stood with protesters in Roston Square today, challenging the government's management of the ongoing crime crisis. Dr. Sands is calling for the end of the high rate of crime in the country. He reacted to the most recent shooting here in the capital.
We hope that our Prime Minister is finally done with his gallivanting around the world and done feeding the chimps in Uganda. And now maybe we'll have enough time to focus on some of the issues that are important to Bahamians. It is very clear that we have a serious ongoing problem. Those of you that may have seen the video from the Esso station last night could only be left shocked at the cold, callous level of violence in this country. And the blood is continuing to run in the streets. What we'd like to see is civil society, government, all of the community come together.
Being the former director of accident and emergency at the Princess Margaret Hospital, Dr. Sands explained the devastating effect the increase in violent crimes has on the Bahamian healthcare system.
I've said this for decades. Every time somebody gets shot, there's a run on a blood bank. They occupy space in the ICU. They take up time in the operating room. I think people need to understand that this violent crime impacts cancer care for their Grammy, for their grandfather, for their mother, for their daddy. We are all connected here. And people want to know, why do I have to stay so long in accident and emergency? Why can't I be tended to? Well, if you got gunshot wound after gunshot wound, stab wound after stab wound coming in, then mommy or daddy is going to wait. It has been that way now for years and years and years.
Dr. Sands says the public has a right to know the difference between what the Royal Bahamas Police Force shares and what the hospitals are seeing, calling for more transparency of the statistics on violent crime. With the F&M chairman and others suggesting that violent crimes are causing a strain on the national healthcare system that is already overwhelmed in the fight against non-communicable diseases, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Dowell spoke to reporters before entering Parliament today and confirmed that there is currently a strain on the Accident and Emergency Department at the Princess Margaret Hospital.
Anytime there is excessive violence, it does put a strain on our accident and emergency, which is presently under construction. And so if we have someone come in with a gunshot wound, and then we have a list of selective cases, those selective cases are put on hold to deal with the emergency. The Trinidad Accord, when the Prime Minister was in charge of CARICOM, made it very clear that crime and violence is a public health issue, and the Ministry of Health is actively involved in dividing or providing solutions.
Minister Dowell went on to explain how the increase in violent crimes contributes to the backlog of cases at the Princess Margaret and the Rand Memorial Hospitals.
If our accident emergency become congested with individuals suffering from gunshot wounds or so forth, it does put a strain on those who've been waiting for services. But we have a way how to address it, and our surgeons are very innovative on the ways on how to address the backlog associated with surgical procedures at the Princess Margaret Hospital and the Rand Memorial Hospital. But we are having meetings on a continuous basis on how we can expedite our surgical lists and begin to address some of these backlog cases that currently exist at the Rand Memorial Hospital and the Princess Margaret.
Minister Dowell added that the ongoing renovation at the Accident and Emergency Department at the Princess Margaret Hospital is adding to the strain violent crimes are placing on the Princess Margaret Hospital. However, he said there is no firm timeline as to when those repairs at the Accident and Emergency Center will be completed at the Princess Margaret Hospital. And finally, in this segment, protesters organized by the Free National Movement gathered in Rawson Square this morning advocating for stronger measures against criminals that are destroying the Bahamian way of life. Among the protesters was Stella Gray, the grandmother of 16-year-old Davinique Gray, who was fatally shot in her Nassau Village home on January 6. The 16-year-old's mother was later arrested and charged with harboring a wanted criminal, Gamaliel Gray, the alleged target of the shooting. Ms. Gray, the grandmother, condemned those sensationalizing her granddaughter's case. Instead, she is calling for the public to focus on justice for her granddaughter, Davinique.
Who is responsible for her death? He is locked up for murder, but who shot my granddaughter? No conclusion come to her death yet. I would like to know who shot my grandchild. There's no conclusion come to that yet. No one's been charged. All they have him charged for the murder, what they said he was suspect for and she was suspected for. So who should both be charged for my granddaughter death? So that's my closure. I want to know the closure of who killed my granddaughter.
Ms. Gray says she believes the police are not doing enough to investigate the murder and bring conclusion to the case. She says she has received no updates on the investigation of her granddaughter's murder and is pleading for closure.
To me, it's in that they have him. And it's nothing not being done. They say that they are looking for the person that shot my granddaughter. Tell me that case is closed. But I need some active or some investigation on my granddaughter's death. Okay? I need some closure on that. I need closure on that. I need closure on my granddaughter's death. Because look at they ain't investigating about my granddaughter's 16-year-old child being killed in the house. Whoever they went after in the house, what is about my 16-year-old grandchild's death? I ain't hear no policeman saying nothing.
Ms. Gray is calling for more transparency from the police as she awaits a break in the case. We'll take a break here and we'll be right back after these commercials.